there, children of pregnancy. Jules here for D News. In 2008, Thomas Beatty, a man, gave birth not by a C-section to a healthy baby girl.
What? In this world, there is nothing more magical, beautiful, or important than getting married and having kids. A woman's ability to get pregnant, create a child, and nourish it is an absolute superpower, and the woke left is trying to rob women of this incredible gift. Today we're going to go over some videos arguing both sides of this important debate. Please be sure to stay until the end of the video where I disagree with Joe Rogan's take on this subject. Let's get started with a segment that played on Discovery, stating that men can obviously get pregnant.
Hello there, children of pregnancy. Jules here for D News. In 2008, Thomas Beatty, a man, gave birth not by a C-section to a healthy baby girl. His pregnancy was a pretty big deal. He was on Oprah, became a public speaker, and later gave birth to 2 more children. Beatty is one of a number of transgender men who have elected to have a child. In 2014, in Australia alone, which is one of the few countries to track such statistics, Medicare reported 54 men who had given birth based on the gender noted in their medical documentation. But one of the many non-heartwarming reactions to the Beatty story was that his pregnancy didn't count because he was designated female at birth and had a uterus, or a deuterus. Thankfully, these inexplicably angry detractors are likely not medically trained professionals, or they'd know that a uterus is by no means necessary for forming baby. In fact, every 1 in 10,000 pregnancies ends up with a fetus coming to term in the abdomen, specifically the peritoneal cavity. This can happen when, after conception, the egg moves towards the uterus but falls out of the fallopian tube into the abdomen. There have even been cases of simultaneous uterine and abdominal pregnancies, which makes the kids more like neighbors than womb mates. Any pregnancy where the fetus develops outside the uterus is known as ectopic and serves as a useful model for what happens to babies born outside of standard conditions, say within a man's abdomen. One fascinating takeaway is that these abdominal pregnancies are more likely to result in a female birth than a male one, by a ratio of roughly 2 to 3. Turns out male fetuses are much worse at surviving an uncomfortable gestation environment, although for both sexes, abdominal pregnancies very rarely produce a live birth. Nonetheless, the fact that fetuses can develop outside the uterus has raised serious questions about whether or not it would be possible for men to have such an ectopic implantation. And it's a tricky subject. On the one hand, a number of doctors say that such a pregnancy would be completely possible. The embryo would be implanted in the abdomen, the placenta would attach to abdominal organs, and delivery would be done by C-section. Any missing pregnancy hormones could be supplemented with injections. But despite the theoretical capability, no man or woman or any person has yet to go through with such an implantation, mainly because on its face, it's an incredibly dangerous procedure. One bioethicist explained that the question wasn't, can a man do it, but can he survive it? So for humans, the answer is pretty decidedly yes, but in some cases, it might kill you.
This is where the left tries to confuse you into agreeing with them. By just stating that a trans man is actually a man, they can make statements like, this man is pregnant. They believe that if they say things like this, as though they were statements of fact, often enough, it will become normalized and the larger public will just start to accept it. Unfortunately, this, combined with the description of anyone who believes in this crazy notion of a person being born with a uterus as a woman, as inexplicably angry detractors, which, let's face it, that's pretty tame compared to what we're normally called, it's actually working. He then went on to some seriously flawed science, stating that it's actually very possible for a man to actually carry a child, as long as you ignore little details like he doesn't produce an egg to fertilize, he has no natural way to deliver the baby, doesn't produce the necessary hormones to grow the baby, and the baby would likely die before birth. But other than that, duh. Of course men can make babies. Now let's move on to a Senate hearing involving Senator Josh Hawley and people of both sides of the debates about men becoming pregnant and the foolishness of the gender identity movement.
You said several times, you've used a phrase, I want to make sure I understand what you mean by it. You've referred to people with a capacity for pregnancy. Would that be women?
Many women, cis women, have the capacity for pregnancy. Many cis women do not have the capacity for pregnancy. There are also trans men who are capable of pregnancy, as well as non-binary people who are capable of pregnancy.
So this isn't really a women's rights issue.
We can recognize that this impacts women while also recognizing that it impacts other groups. Those things are not mutually exclusive, Senator Hawley.
Oh, so your view is that the core of this right then is about what?
So I want to recognize that your line of questioning is transphobic, and it opens up trans people to violence by not recognizing that.
Wow, you're saying that I'm opening up people to violence by asking whether or not women are the folks who can have pregnancies?
So I want to note that 1 out of 5 transgender persons have attempted suicide. So I think it's important
Because of my line of questioning? So we can't talk about it?
Because denying that trans people exist and pretending not to know that they exist.
I'm
is
denying that
dangerous.
trans people exist by asking you if you're talking about women having pregnancies?
Do you believe that men can get pregnant?
No, I don't think women can get
So you are
pregnant.
denying that trans people exist?
And that leads to violence? Is this how you run your classroom? Are students allowed to question you, or are they
Absolutely.
also treated like this, where
No,
they're
they're
told
allowed
that
to
they're
question.
opening up people to violence?
We have a good
by
time in my
questioning.
class. You should join.
Oh, I bet.
You might learn a lot.
Wow, I would learn a lot. I've learned a lot
I
just in this
know,
exchange.
absolutely.
Extraordinary.
Yep.
Ms. Matsky, let me ask you something. So you provide health care to women free of charge, right? Is that right? You've
Absolutely.
You've done this for many years.
Yep.
You have licensed medical professionals at your pregnancy care centers. Is that right?
That is correct.
And what are some of the resources that you provide for women who come to you in a time of need?
So-
Just give us you talked about it in your written testimony, but just give us a sense of it.
So we have 3 OBGYN doctors, 5 registered nurses, nurse practitioners, physician assistants, phlebotomists, medical assistants, and we provide prenatal care, OBGYN care. We provide pregnancy tests, ultrasounds, well woman visits, breast exams. We provide a wide range of medical services, yes.
So what do you think about the DC politicians now saying that your clinic and the other 3,000 pregnancy care centers around this country are fake medical clinics? For instance, Senator Warren has said it's now more important than ever to crack down on so-called crisis pregnancy centers that mislead and deceive patients. Senator Menendez, crisis pregnancy centers jeopardize women's health and well-being, all while elevating unproven theories about birth control. Senator Warner wrote to Google asking them to censor search results for care centers like yours, saying directing women to fake clinics that traffic in misinformation is dangerous to women's health and undermines the integrity of Google's search results. Do you run a fake clinic? I mean, is that what's happening here? You don't provide actual medical care to actual women?
We absolutely do not run a fake clinic, and we have a full medical staff. Like I said, many of our medical professionals have experienced abortion for themselves, including our OBGYN doctor who used to perform abortions. So our entire medical staff is there for women, whether they choose abortion and walk out the door or whether they choose life for their baby, and we support them for years after that.
Do you think there ought to be an ideological test to be able to get medical care in this country? I mean, should we say to women, well, you have to agree with the DC Democrats' ideology, otherwise you can't go get medical care? Or maybe for you and the physicians who work at your pregnancy care center or the thousands of others across the country, should we impose an ideological test on them and say that, well, you have to agree with the DC Democrats' position on abortion or you can't provide medical care to women? Should we do that in this country?
Absolutely not.
I just want to ask in my few remaining seconds here, Ms. Hawley, the Dobbs decision, as I understand it, I've read it now a number of times, it gives to voters the decision as to what laws should be pertaining to life and pertaining to abortion in all 50 states and other jurisdictions around the country. I'm just curious, do you know what percentage of voters in this country support the DC Democrats' position that they want to impose on the entire country, a one-size-fits-all rule they want to impose from the top down? Do you know what percentage of voters support their position, which is also, by the way, the same position taken by North Korea and China, other notable violators of human rights? Do you know what percentage it is?
I know that nearly 90% of Americans oppose abortion in the third trimester. The number that would support abortion up to the moment of birth has to be minuscule. It's a horrific policy.
Yeah, I mean, based on the most recent Harvard poll that was just released just a few days ago, less than 10% of voters say that they would support abortion into the final month of pregnancy, and yet that is the law that the DC politicians want to impose.
So if you disagree, you are immediately transphobic and opening people up to violence. Trans people do have a higher percentage of suicide. It's not because Josh Hawley is transphobic. It's because they have a mental illness that is being ignored, and they're being told that if they magically become the opposite sex, all of their problems will be solved. The problem is, no matter what they do, they can't become the opposite sex, nor does it do anything to address the underlying issues. Just a side note, what horrifying acts do these pro-life crisis pregnancy centers conduct on pregnant women? They show them an ultrasound so the mothers know the life they are taking. Now, I am a small federal government guy, so I will nearly always agree that policy making should be done at the state level. But I don't understand why we are legalizing murder. I don't care if it's 4 hours, 4 weeks, or 40. It's murder. Our next clip is an excerpt from Good Morning Britain, where Piers Morgan dismantles the notion that anyone can be a mother.
We'll all agree that motherhood starts way beyond the biological event. And anyone, including men, can mother and play the role of a mother.
Father.
Piers, would you...
Women, mother. That's because the titles are male and female titles.
Okay, with respect, would you look into the face of a man that has just lost his wife and is really struggling to play the role of the mother and the father and say that to him? Say, you're not a mother.
He's the father.
That child...
Well, you might be more sensitive in those circumstances.
You still call him a father.
He's playing the role of the mother because...
That was me, I'd be a father. I wouldn't suddenly morph into a mother.
Again, with respect, to mother and to father are not gender-specific.
They are gender-specific.
No, they're not.
Why are we pretending otherwise?
Skills
of course
to
they're
mother and to
gender-specific.
father can be acquired.
Are you a woman?
Well, yes, I am a woman. Are you a man?
So can I suddenly say, you can just literally say, I'm a woman?
I am a woman, but I'm also capable of the skills it takes to father a child. Similarly, you are a man, and you are capable of the skills to mother a child. I would hope. I'm not sure, though, because nurturing, caring, is that in your capabilities?
I brought up 4 kids very well, but they've always known who their dad is and who their mum is. What's wrong with that?
But the skill to mother is something that a man can also do. You can mother
so the point is, Sonia, that you can do both of these jobs within the role of parent. Do we have to define mothers and fathers by their gender?
Sadly, we do now. If you'd have asked me 2 years ago, I would have probably been on Amy's side, actually. But now we've experienced the whole messing around with words and the categories, and certainly the taking of female titles. And you have to look at the origin of why that tweet came to be. And that tweet came to be because everybody thinks that they can suddenly put on woman face and be a woman. And it was interesting, very sexist tweet, incidentally, because later on they were advertising for a male writer, not somebody who identifies as male, but a male writer. So you can suddenly put on a dress and become a woman, but you can't do the same with a man. And men and fathers and mothers bring completely different skill sets to parenting.
And both genders are capable of both of those things.
Here's the problem. A man can't, for example, breastfeed his kids, right?
This is irrelevant. The biology and that type of thing is
because he can pretend to be a mother all he likes, but he can't breastfeed his children. So it's like, you know, there are limitations to motherhood for men.
Motherhood isn't breastfeeding.
No, but hang on a moment.
It's part of it for some mothers.
Is it intrinsically part of it? Is having a womb motherhood? Would you say to a woman that can't breastfeed that they're not a mother?
No.
Would you say that?
No, I'm just saying it's one of the many things that actually only a woman can do.
And it's really important we acknowledge it as well, because...
But that's not mothering.
We only have to look at...
That's not mothering.
Mothers are women. I hate to break it to you. I know we're not allowed to say this anymore, but it's an insult to every damn mother in this country. That suddenly blokes who come along and go, I'm mummy. No, you're not. You're not. You're daddy if you want to be daddy. You're not mummy.
If you look up in the dictionary to mother, the verb to mother is something that a man is capable of.
Capable of, Amy, but can I just point out, this is all about having a play, essentially about motherhood.
Yes.
So at what point does everybody have a view on motherhood apart from mothers.
They're not gendered. A man can play the role of a mother and have the skills required to be a mother.
Did you just actually say that? Listen to yourself.
Okay, please.
Here's the thing, right?
Mother is not gendered.
It would be a very different place.
Okay, here's a dictionary definition of mother.
You're going to say
a woman in relation to her child
and now read the verb.
or children.
And now
A
read the verb.
female parent.
A mother is a female
If you read the verb definition, bring up a child with care and affection. However, it quotes, she didn't know how to mother my brother, who's very sensitive, right? She's mothered 2 foals if it's give birth to. It's all female.
Can I give an example?
Everything is female.
If I take you...
A mother is a woman.
Sonia,
what is happening to this
Amy, hang on a
country?
second.
Yeah.
Sonia,
I'll tell you. Don't do
Amy,
World's Gone
hang on a
Nuts.
moment.
Yeah.
Amy, hang on a moment.
Yeah.
Sonia, I think a lot of people will agree that fathers can bring mothering skills to parenting.
They can bring nurturing.
They're fathers.
But if you are asking for a play about motherhood, derived from a woman's experience of mothering, then you may well want a mother to be involved in writing.
But the thing is, let's be clear about this. This is beyond some idiot writing a job advert for a London theatre and trying to be PC. This is also infecting the British Medical Association. They had an internal memo where they wanted to rename expectant mothers as pregnant people. That's the world we're living in. We need to remember that babies come from women and fathers can be every bit as nurturing, but in a different way. Mothers and fathers have different skill sets. And absolutely, if it's a play about motherhood, it should absolutely be written by mothers who have the knowledge and experience.
Fathers have different skill sets.
Yes.
But men and women are both capable of those skill sets. So why limit them? Piers, are you a man?
Yes.
Right. You're a man.
I'm currently identifying as a man. At the moment, that's not illegal, but it will be soon.
If I said during this debate,
it's a PC issue.
if I said Piers was a real father figure to me during that debate, if I said you were a father figure to me during this debate, or if I said you really mothered me through that debate.
Do you have kids?
Yes, I have a
How many?
4-year-old. A 4-year-old.
Does she think you're mummy or daddy?
He thinks I'm mummy and daddy,
We
actually.
just
No,
need
he
to
doesn't.
expand.
How many times has he called you daddy?
Your gender.
How many times has your son called you daddy?
Stereotyping.
Okay, how many times has he called you daddy?
Well, here's a brilliant example.
You just said he thinks
he
you're both.
buys me a
How many
Father's
times
Day
has he said,
card.
hi, daddy?
He buys me a Father's Day card
Has he ever
and says,
called you daddy?
you are a mum and a dad
Has he
to
ever
me.
called you daddy?
Let us
Of
not
course he
forget.
doesn't. It's not about labels.
Yes or no, has he ever called you
If he
daddy?
called me robot man, it doesn't make any
Has he ever
difference.
called you daddy?
It's all
That's
I want an
irrelevant.
answer. I
You're
want an answer.
Piers,
One
you
answer,
love
yes
to
or no.
reduce things.
Has your son ever called you
That's
daddy?
irrelevant. I play the role
Yes
of
or
a
no?
father.
Now, I have 3 kids. If my wife were to pass away, I would not automatically become a mother. I would have to improve upon qualities that I don't naturally demonstrate as well as their mother, like nurturing and affection, but it wouldn't make me a mother. Did that wokester actually just say that her 4-year-old gets her a Father's Day card? Is he driving himself to the store, picking out a card, and using his debit card to purchase the greeting card? I got nothing for these people. Now, I will say she accidentally said the quiet part out loud at the end. She said, I play the role of the father. And that's exactly what she's doing. She's playing a role. I don't play the role of a father. I just am one. Our last clip is an excerpt from Joe Rogan on the topic of men becoming pregnant and where he and I disagree on the topic.
You know what I'm saying? Do you know who the Hodge twins are?
Yes.
You know those guys are?
Yeah.
Do you know
Bodybuilding.com,
yeah.
yeah.
They have a fucking they were reading an article about men getting pregnant, like that women aren't the only ones that can get pregnant.
Oh, hell no.
Because the way they talk, you know the way they talk,
Yeah.
they're big old jack dudes, and
I've had them on the podcast. They're great.
have you?
Yeah.
And they get seriously amped up. They were talking about busting a nut inside a dude's ass that you cannot get them pregnant, no matter how deep you go in that man's anus.
And they're the same. They're like, yeah, they talk fucking like dudes.
Because people are saying some crazy shit.
That's not
That's
real.
a crazy
Someone
shit
really
to say.
argued that?
Yes. This is a real argument. You know, Yale started putting tampons dispensers
Get the fuck out
in
of here.
the men's room because they said not everyone who menstruates is a woman. Hi.
My son ain't
Hi,
go to
welcome to
Yale.
the Upside Down world.
Wow.
Did you ever watch Stranger
I feel like
Things?
I'm too drunk for this. What?
You ever watch Stranger Things?
Yeah, fuck yeah, I love that.
Yeah, we're in the
Season 3
upside down.
coming.
We're in
I know.
the world is upside down right now. That's what's happening.
That's so
We
disappointing.
flipped over to the other side. People are they're so progressive. They're literally denying science for feelings. Do you feel like a woman? Then you're a woman. Yeah.
What the fuck? I get how you can identify as a woman.
Do you feel like a man? Well, then you're a man.
That's
and you're
so
pregnant?
strange.
Amazing, man. Bro, congratulations. You're going to make the best mom, dad, whatever the fuck you are ever.
Dad, mom. These dudes are coming in dudes' asses saying they're getting pregnant.
It's a funny little thing that they did. Did you find it?
I was looking for it, and I stumbled across something else they just talked about, which you're just talking
They're
about.
They're all over YouTube. They're hilarious.
What is this? Meet the formerly transgender man who now identifies as a genderless alien. Oh, yeah, I've seen that. Dude, we showed that guy before. His surgery and shit.
Oh, yeah, okay.
He thinks he's an alien?
He's had a bunch of surgery to look like an alien.
I don't give a fuck. Just don't force it on me that I have to, if I fuck him, call you a him.
Yeah, I say congratulations to them.
Yeah, there you go.
Congratulations.
There you go.
You've made it.
Yeah, congrats,
Look,
man.
A lot of people want to be special, but they don't want to work for it. And the problem with that is you get that kind of shit. You get people that are pretending to be something super special.
So they get attention.
Ugh. And you're not doing anything. And there's nothing there. You know, what I really love, I had Eddie Izzard on, who's probably one of the most famous transgender people ever. And just...
I didn't know he was transgender. I saw your picture.
Just decided that's what he likes. And once you get past that and you just talk to him, he's amazing.
Human's a human, man.
He's amazing. I don't care. What I care is when you say crazy things, like men can get pregnant.
That's insane.
That's not real.
Have you had Kristen Beck on, the Navy SEAL?
Not yet. No.
And was running for governor? I don't know what she's doing now, but Cal and I went to lunch with her afterwards. And normal shit, man.
Normal.
Also talks like you're like, oh, when you were in battle, this, and just talks like a fucking human.
Like a human.
I didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
All right, you want to wear a dress? Yeah, everyone's looking at you because you got the physique of me and you got a fucking miniskirt on. All right, whatever.
Who cares?
Who gives a fuck?
Well, once you get used to it, like you're used to the way people dress, period.
Yes.
You're used to everything, you know? It's just nonsense. It's nonsense. Like, I don't care as long as you're not hurting me.
Yeah, I
or
agree.
hurting someone else. I don't care.
Or pushing it on me.
I don't care.
But
I agree with Joe Rogan on the first part. I'm certainly not saying I think a trans is a bad person. I'm sure most of them are awesome people, and I want nothing but the best for them. That's not even part of this equation. Where Joe Rogan and I differ is on the subject of using a person's pronouns. I think this libertarian view of pronoun usage is why we're losing this battle. You have already ceded the moral ground if you state you disagree with the trans ideology, but you're totally fine using whatever pronouns a person prefers. He is a male pronoun. She is a female pronoun. So many people agree with Rogan's philosophy of, whatever, I'll call you anything you want, that the whole issue has become ambiguous and opened the door for this ideology to enter the mainstream. I think it's hypocritical to say, I completely disagree with this concept that a man can just say they're a woman, and now the man can become pregnant. However, I will call a man she if she wants me to. It's ridiculous for a man to say they're a woman, and it's equally ridiculous for you to feed this notion and use female pronouns for a male. At some point, we're going to have to take a hard stand on this and stop enabling people's delusions and do away with this whole nonsensical notion of differences between sex and gender. You don't actually have to accept it when people just redefine words to match whatever they want them to mean. Thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.